Hey guys, this is Mr. Sandoval with the weekly video, and this is a new unit, genetics and heredity. Okay, we're going to be starting that very soon here. And there's some key questions that we want to answer in this unit. What are genes? Okay, not the jeans that you wear for pants, but genes that have to do with genetics and heredity and your DNA. How do parents pass their traits to their offspring? Why do offspring look like their parents? Can we change genes in organisms? Okay, can we change the DNA in a living organism and in some way that we desire? And why is this all important? What are the applications? How is this useful to us? Okay. Again, real quick, let's check our materials, your folder, your agenda, your Jupyter grades, and I want to make sure that you have your science spiral notebook. Make sure that that is in good order and ready to go for when we return to class. Okay, so make sure that that's good to go. All right, we'll be needing that for sure. Okay, you have a piece of paper that is already set up for you that I gave you. Excuse me, and it has a title, Homework Video Week 12, and Genetics and Heredity. So you should have that ready to go in a black or blue pen or pencil. Okay, so genetics and heredity. Here are some monkeys that are glowing green, and some fish, and some rats or mice that are glowing green. Okay, this is a result of an understanding of genetics. These organisms actually had some DNA from another organism inserted into their DNA, and it allows them to glow green under a certain light. Okay, it's pretty crazy, but that is something that is a result of an understanding of genetics and heredity. Now, it's not very useful in itself just to make an animal glow, but the ability to put DNA from one organism into another organism, that's called genetic engineering. That's really important because that might help us solve a whole bunch of problems in the future. We do it with foods. You might hear a lot about the controversy lately of genetically modified foods, where food that we eat or crops that are grown have had their DNA changed, and there's a controversy on whether that's good or bad. So genetically modified foods, again, that's huge in the news lately. And genetics and understanding of genetics might allow us to cure diseases. Imagine a disease that somebody's born with that we might actually be able to change. We might be able to change their very DNA of a person so that they don't have that disease, that mutation anymore. That's pretty powerful. Cloning. You might have heard of Dolly the sheep. That was the first mammal that was cloned. Again, that's creating an organism from the cell, from the DNA of another organism, not really using two parents, but taking a cell and growing that into an exact copy of an adult organism. And if we can do that, could we bring back extinct animal species like this Tasmanian wolf that went extinct? I think this is the picture of the last known living Tasmanian wolf. And what about something like a woolly mammoth? We've found, dead woolly mammoths preserved in the ice. Could we take cells and DNA from those organisms and bring them back to life, just like we cloned that sheep? Okay, these are some pretty powerful ideas and things that scientists are thinking about and working on. Okay, so genetics, again, we're studying genetics and heredity, and this is a study of how parents pass their traits to their offspring, right? The offspring look a lot like their parents, but not entirely, okay? Things we can see, we can see your eye color, the type of hair you have, or your skin color, your features. Those all have to do with your genes and your DNA, but there's also a lot of traits that are inside of you that we don't see. So those are all, again, come from your parents, come from in your DNA. Okay, and we're going to talk a lot about humans, but it also applies to animals. Okay, animals have offspring and they pass their traits just like we do. Okay, so again, we're talking about all living organisms. And again, the same is true for plants. Okay, all of these kernels of corn have different colors and different traits, just like we do. Okay, you know, plants, leaves have different size and shape leaves. That's a trait, just like our hair color. And you know, we again grow many different types of fruits and vegetables with different sizes and shapes and colors. You know, these are all variations of tomatoes. Okay, so those are all genetic traits. A name that you'll hear a lot is Gregor Mendel. He was a monk that lived close to 200 years ago, and he was the father of genetics. He studied traits in pea plants, okay, like the shape and texture and color of seeds and of the flowers of the plants. And he came up with a lot of the ideas that we're talking about, and he did this a long time ago. So remember that name, Gregor Mendel. All right, so what I want you to do is in your notes right now is copy these two definitions, and you can pause the video if you need more time. So genetics, the study of genes, DNA, traits, and heredity. That's genetics. And heredity is the passing of genes and traits from parents to offspring. And that kind of goes along with the word inheritance, right? You inherit things from your parents. It'd be nice to inherit a lot of money, wouldn't it? But you for sure inherit your traits, your DNA from your parents, and that's called heredity. So write those down and then continue the video. Again, this unit we're going to talk about DNA, chromosomes, and genes. Remember, we have 46 chromosomes in our cells, and that's what those are made of DNA. Okay, and so we look here. If you take a cell and you go inside the nucleus, we have the DNA, which is in the form of chromosomes. So again, if we blow that up and look bigger, we have chromosomes here, and this is made of DNA, the double helix, right? That famous structure there. And again, excuse me, as we look into the nucleus and we look at the chromosomes, and we look deeper and deeper and we see the individual DNA, we see genes, okay? So genes are actually sections of DNA. So a chromosome will have many genes on it, okay? 46 chromosomes in a cell, and if you add up all the DNA in those chromosomes, you're going to get over 25,000 genes on all of the chromosomes. Okay, so look at all these chromosomes here. These all are made of DNA, and they all have genes. They're divided into little sections called genes. Okay, and those genes control your traits. It's sort of like a recipe. Think of a cookbook that has hundreds or thousands of recipes in it. You can turn to any page and find a recipe. Well, you can go to any chromosome and find certain genes, and those act like recipes that control how your body works. Okay, everything we can and cannot see about how our body works, those are controlled in the genes. All right, so take a time. I want you to write down this information that you see on the screen right now. Okay, pause the video if you need to, and I'm going to present it coming up right here. So again, copy down this information. Okay, we got 46 chromosomes in a cell, and there's thousands of genes on all of the chromosomes, and each gene controls a trait. It's like a recipe. Everything we can and cannot see about how our body works. Okay? All right. I also want you to copy this diagram. All right. It shows a nucleus in a cell. We blow it up, we magnify a chromosome, and then we start unraveling that, and we see a gene, an individual component or piece of DNA. All right. So again, pause the video if you need to copy that down. Okay. Now let's take a look at a couple traits. So I want you to write down some of my traits, and you're going to write down some of your traits actually. All right. Is your earlobe attached or unattached? Look at that photo and check your earlobe. Does it kind of go straight into the side of your neck, or does it kind of have a looping part that hangs down? Okay, write down attached or unattached for yourself. Can you roll your tongue, or are you a non-roller? I am a non-roller. I cannot roll my tongue like you see. I think that's Harry Potter doing right there. Do you have blue eyes or any other color of eyes? Or should I say brown eyes or not brown eyes? Maybe. And how about your hair? Is it naturally curly or naturally straight? Okay, these are all genetic traits. These are all inherited from your parents. Now, does that mean your parents have the exact same traits that you do? Or do they have different traits? Maybe you want to check with them. All right. So write those down. Okay, so we got our notes, we got our diagram. You wrote down some of your traits, and that's all we're going to do for the notes. We're going to do the summary and questions in class, so that's all you have to do for this week. All right, so new unit, genetics and heredity. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in class. Bye.